95% of all Bitcoin's been mined, but 95% of the world doesn't own Bitcoin. So I just think that there's still a huge demand versus supply imbalance, meaning there's a lot more potential buyers of Bitcoin over the next 10 years. And so I think there's a lot of upside into year end.
Into your 150 target?
Yeah, 150, maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What? 150 to 200 to even 250. And what's you don't have a terminal price on that, do you?
Well, it's, I think at a minimum it should have the same network value as gold. Mm-hmm. And if you look at above ground gold, it's probably 23 trillion. So that would be, 1.2 million for Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin is more valuable than gold. So, gold, Bitcoin could be 2 million, 3 million long term. Even higher.
Okay. Thank you. And we're talking years, obviously, but 95% mined. I don't think the last one is mined till 2150 or something.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, depending on what decimal you want to use, it's probably 2040 or something. But yeah, but it's if you're having something forever, it'll always.
So what's your terminal value then?
That's what we just said.
Yeah,
the final.
He said 2.5 million.
2.5 million at the end.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe higher.
Or maybe even higher.
I didn't appreciate that point.
Yeah, it could.
He's saying Bitcoin is going to $3 million. What do you guys think Bitcoin's going to over the next year? Put your price prediction for 2035 in the comment section below. Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. Quick video here today. I have a clip at the end from Adam Beck talking about the Bitcoin strategy companies. Going to be getting into MicroStrategy, getting into some recent news here today. But you can see strategy at 396. We're up 3% here today. The S&P 500 is at all-time highs. The NASDAQ is at all-time highs. Bitcoin is very close to being back to all-time highs. And you have strategy up here on the day, around 592,000 Bitcoin. As of right now, we're definitely going to see another buy from strategy on Monday. They'll probably just continue to hit the STRK and STRF ATM. So we'll see what happens there. But if we see it where they're currently ranking on the top U.S. companies by market cap, they're currently 93. So $110 billion market cap. Good to see there. We have Bitcoin closing on June 30th. It has to be above $97,000 US to help strategy be qualified for the S&P 500 based on their earnings. And it's looking like that's going to happen because Bitcoin's currently at around $107,000 right now. So strategy will qualify for the S&P 500 for the first time, but we have to wait and see when they actually get included. And when that happens, you could definitely see some more money flowing into strategy. And there's going to be some front running of this as well. People that know that they're going to be added into the S&P 500 are definitely going to be putting some of their money into the stock because they know they're going to be added very soon. So that's something to watch out for. This is very big for the space. We've been talking about this for a while. Everyday people with 401ks who are investing in the S&P 500 every time they get a paycheck are now going to be unknowingly buying strategy, which is unknowingly buying Bitcoin. So this is really huge for the space. And then take a look at the most actively traded U.S. stocks here today. The market in the U.S. has been open for a couple hours now. You have Coinbase up here in the top 5. They've been performing very well. And Circle has also been performing very well. USDC there, crypto companies. Strategy still in the top 15 with around $2.4 billion of actively traded volume. Good to see there for strategy. And we covered a lot of updates in our live stream yesterday around the Bitcoin treasury companies. So if you want to go deeper into what all these companies are doing, check out that live stream from yesterday. But I'm going into some recent updates just from the past day. You have Bhutan's Bitcoin holdings are currently valued at around 1.3 billion. That represents roughly 40% of the country's GDP. Bhutan is a country in Asia, and they were a very early country to adopt Bitcoin mining, and it's definitely paid off for them. Other countries are going to see this, and they're going to do it 40% of their GDP, so they're benefiting greatly off of mining BTC there. And then we have Indian politicians calling for Bitcoin strategic reserves as they're watching the United States This is really key. The United States gave Bitcoin the stamp of approval with the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, saying that they're not going to ever sell any of their BTC, and they potentially could be adding Bitcoin. If we see Cynthia Lummis's Bitcoin bill get passed, that means the United States will then buy Bitcoin. We're going to see other countries around the world do some of the same things. We've seen 3 states in the U.S. already put Bitcoin on their balance sheet as a strategic reserve asset. We may see other countries start to do this. And this is going to take probably a while for this effect to actually happen, because governments tend to move a lot slower than private institutions. It's just how it is. We saw how long it took for all these things to happen with Bitcoin and crypto in the United States. And when Trump got in, they moved as fast as possible, but it still was very slow even after Trump got in. And we still haven't seen the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Bill Act from Cynthia Lummis here in the United States. That is yet to be seen. So the stuff in the government takes a long time, longer than what some of these private companies are doing. So we'll see more countries like India and others start to want to have a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And then I want to talk about this a little bit here. This is something to take note of if you are investing in any of these Bitcoin Strategic Reserves. Over the past couple of days, some of the Bitcoin Treasury strategy companies have traded down, depending on which ones that you may have invested in. They've traded down pretty big. But that is the name of the game. These things are going to be highly volatile. You can see metaplanet had an 80% crash last year. It went from around $400 all the way back to around $100, around an 80% crash. But then it went back up, and you can see where it's currently trading at. So just because a company goes down 50% in a week doesn't mean that that company is going to fail at buying more Bitcoin. It could just be a nice correction before blast off. That's not financial advice, but you can see what happened with metaplanet here, and some of these Bitcoin Strategic Reserve companies are going to be very successful, and they are going to be very volatile. And there's a clip here from Adam Back that I'm going to play for you guys. He's talking about how he invests in some of these Bitcoin Strategic Reserve companies. Adam Back, if you don't know, he was a very early investor into Bitcoin, into MicroStrategy, got into Metaplanet. His work is actually cited in the Bitcoin white paper, so he's a true Bitcoin OG, and he's also backed altbg, the blockchain group, and H100 in Sweden. altbg is in France. So let's go ahead and check out what Adam has to say, what he looks for when he invests in these companies. Let's go ahead and check out the clip. And I appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Make sure you hit that like button. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go ahead and check out this clip here.
And I think in terms of risk, it depends on your investing horizon. I'm generally a value investor, a long-term outlook. So I tend to not like selling things. I don't like selling Bitcoin. Once I get into a treasury company, I kind of want to hold on to it and ride the their ability to accumulate Bitcoin over time, because that improves. Your entry point is now historic, and they've accumulated more Bitcoin than the MNAV when you bought it. Then you're kind of quite well insulated. So I think people who create a risk is more by trading in a very short-term viewpoint. You see that in the Bitcoin market, and I think that same kind of risk can exist in the treasury company market, which is if you're prone to sell something because the market's volatile, you need to slow down and take a longer perspective, and realize the Bitcoin cycles come and go, and of course you have short-term volatility in anything. It's there is no risk-free.